Greetings traders and welcome back to another In-Depth with Chris episode. In today's discussion, we will be talking about the whole moving average. That is H-U-L-L, not whole like I want the whole pie. You might want that as well. But before we get going, let's show you how you can apply it to your charts with the Finamark platform. That way you can follow along the entire time. The first thing that we're going to do is go up to the top center portion of the screen and click on the Show Indicator Options button, and then down here, the fourth item down at the moment, if I give this a click, it will add the whole moving average to my charts. If I want to change any of the settings with it, I'm going to come over to where it populated on the section 1 side, and I'm going to click on the cog wheel. Then I can change the period as well as the color of the line that is representing the moving average. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into that information so we can learn more about the whole moving average. The whole moving average is another moving average. We sometimes refer to it as an HMA instead of something like, say, an SMA or an EMA. And what it is a directional trend indicator that is a combination of weighted moving averages. The concept is to provide higher quality information to traders whose strategy depends on slim margins within price movements of a particular instrument. It prioritizes recent price changes over older ones. The result is a moving average that's dynamic yet smooth. It's able to help identify the dominating market trend. Some traders also use the indicator to time their entry and exits themselves. Alan Hull, who's a trader and a mathematician, he developed the HMA, which is the whole moving average, in 2005, so it's not relatively that old in regards to other trading technical analysis. The calculation of the HMA is really not something that you'll have to know too much, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I did want to include it in this video. So if it is something of interest, just come back to this point in the video and pause it on this frame. It explains how it's calculated as well as shows the equation at the bottom. Now let's talk about how we can use the whole moving average. As a directional trend indicator, the HMA is capturing the market's current dynamic and presenting it to us. It's trying to determine whether the market conditions are bullish or bearish relative to historical data by relying on recent price action. Knowing this should make interpreting the indicator a little bit easier to understand. Most platforms will display the HMA with two dimensions. You can have a positional value and a directional value, but in some cases it's just simply one value. We generally are using this value to get an idea of what an HMA is trying to tell us exactly. And as we can see on this chart here, which is of the E-mini S&P 500, we have a line running through it representing the HMA. Now, there's nothing significantly different from the way other moving average indicators will appear in the chart in relation to this one. At first glance, it might look just like a simple moving average, but how it's calculating that line is what makes it different. And before we switch over to other moving averages or trading strategies around the HMA, it's important that at this point, if you haven't already applied the HMA to your chart, I strongly recommend doing so you can get an idea and an understanding as we go forward talking about how the strategies will be employed. According to Hull, the indicator signals are most efficient when using them for directional signals and not for crossovers themselves. So the reason that crossovers are likely to be not as desired by a trader is because they're more distorted by the lag that the moving average might have. Instead, Hull always recommended looking at turning points to try to identify entries and exits. So based on this, the strategies that we can use with the whole moving average are pretty much as simple as they get. We would look to buy when the HMA turns up, and we'd look to sell when the HMA turns down. So over here on the left, we have a buy scenario because price is crossing above the HMA, but also because the HMA is going up now. Over here, the HMA is turning down, and not only that, but price has actually fallen below the HMA. Over here, we have the HMA switching directions, going up again, so this provides an opportunity to buy. Over here, we have an opportunity to sell when the HMA is now angled back down and price is in fact trading below it. So in the core aspects of HMA trading, we're really just trying to give ourselves an idea of which way we actually want to go. On this chart, we can look at an HMA versus an SMA. So here, the yellow line, which is the one on bottom on the left side of the screen, this is the SMA. We are all familiar with a simple moving average. Look how it differs from the HMA, which is the blue line that is moving through price. It follows price up to almost the very top of the market's run here, and then it quickly reacts going downwards. Whereas the SMA is something a bit more smooth in its averaging, so to speak, where it's giving price a wider berth from the extremes, both up and down. So it's pretty noticeable that the HMA is a little bit more closely tied to current price action than the SMA. On this chart, we can see how the HMA is comparing to an exponential moving average. Now, naturally, an exponential moving average does in fact weight more current price heavier than price from the past. So we should expect to see some more comparable results here. But even still, it's still very noticeable that the HMA is still gluing to price and responding quicker than the EMA itself. The blue line, remember, is the HMA in this scenario, whereas the green line, which is starting underneath, is going to be our EMA. And once again, we see how the HMA is a little bit more accurately following price action and responding a little bit quicker to price changes. And finally, we have the WMA. This is the weighted moving average. Here, we will once again see our HMA as a blue line, and we'll see our competing moving average as the WMA, as the purple line in this case. So once again, the weighted moving average is in fact getting even closer to keeping up to the HMA, but is still falling short. The HMA is still responding more quickly, and it's responding in a more accurate way, so to speak, than the weighted moving average is. We're seeing more of an overall average being displayed by the WMA, whereas with the HMA, we're seeing more of an average of recent moves being displayed than an overall average, if that makes any sense to anyone out there. And if it does, then come over for tea later because you actually understand me. So in conclusion, the whole moving average is a great technical indicator that can be viewed by most as an improvement upon the regular simple moving average, as well as some of the moving averages that came after the SMA. When coupled with something like the RSI or the ATR, some very powerful market reads can come from the whole moving average, and we can find confirmed entry and exit locations with relative ease. I strongly recommend checking out the whole moving average on your demo account, playing around with it for a little bit before you ever go ahead and consider taking it live. But until next time, please do me a favor, click that like and subscribe button down below so I can keep coming out with content for you all out there. But best of luck all of you in the markets. I will see you very soon.